And today I just have a mishmash of different things that I want to go over regarding the economy, regarding people's finances. And the next thing is Americans' household average monthly expenses. Because when I saw this, I was actually kind of surprised that people's average expenses are higher than I actually thought they were. And once you see the breakdown of this, it's not really hard to understand why so many people are broke right now, because people's average monthly expenses have gone up substantially, and it's to the point where people are spending most, if not all, of their income or more than all of it just on getting by and living right now. The average American household spends $6,440 per month, according to the latest consumer expenditure survey from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. And that is a $359 increase from the average monthly household spending in 2022, and a $2,182 per month increase from just 2013, guys. So you want to know how much inflation has crushed everybody? Just look at that right there. It used to be a whopping $2,200 a month cheaper for an average household to live their life and get by just 13 years ago, which really wasn't that long ago. So let's take a look at some of the things that people have to spend their money on just to be able to get by. Housing, of course, is the number one expense, coming in at about $2,100 per month. And people are spending on average $25,500 a year as of 2023. So you know these numbers are substantially higher now 2 years later, because inflation has been raging since then. But that's 33% of people's income being spent just on housing, okay? Transportation comes in second at almost $1,100 a month, or about $13,000 a year. And that's about 17% of someone's annual spending. And then food, which I have more on food in a little bit here, is the third largest expense at $832 per month, clocking in at almost 10 grand a year, which is 13% of the annual budget. And then personal insurance and pensions comes in at fourth at $796 per month. You have things like healthcare and entertainment. Those are significant expenses. Entertainment at $300 a month. Clothes, apparel, $170 a month. Education, $138 a month. And the list goes on, totaling $6,440 per month. And what do you notice? The top three of this list are housing, transportation, and food. And what does the core inflation number exclude? Do you remember what it is? Oh yeah, that's right. They exclude volatile food and energy. Okay? So 2 out of these 3 top categories are not included in the core inflation numbers that's sitting at 3.1% right now. And you can see how much these expenses are. And that's how you know right there that the inflation numbers that we're being fed month after month are a complete lie, because they should be way higher just by looking at the average American budget right here. The fact that they can even exclude food and energy is really a crime, if you ask me. I mean, the other thing that's crazy about this is just those top 3 expenses: housing, transportation, which is the gas you put in your car, things like that, and food, are 63% of the average household budget right now, guys. So well over half of your money is just going towards those top 3 expenditures: food, transportation, and housing. And it's no wonder right now that so many Americans are worried about the price of food. That seems to be one of the largest concerns that people have, are grocery prices. According to a recent poll from the Associated Press, only 14% of Americans say grocery prices are not a financial concern right now, which means that 86% of Americans, they do think that grocery prices are a major concern right now. And so it's not a surprise that many households are turning to food assistance programs right now to fill the gap. And even those lifelines feel shaky because the government has been cutting a lot of SNAP benefits for people that pretty much can't prove that they need it, which is the way it should be. They shouldn't just be giving it out to people just because they say they need it. They should be able to prove that they need it as well. So many lower income Americans and senior citizens are relying on food banks to be able to get their weekly groceries. And if it wasn't for these food banks, then a lot of them would be going hungry, and grocery shopping would become a major stress and anxiety source in their life. And of course, Americans who are making $30,000 a year or less say that grocery prices are a major financial stress compared to 4 in 10 Americans making above 100,000. But even if you make a six-figure salary, you still got 40% of people worried about the price of groceries. So it's not like making a six-figure salary or being in the top income earners of the country, makes you immune from this. Yeah, does it make it easier to pay those bills and not have to go into debt over it? Sure. But it's still taking up a larger percentage of your income than it used to, along with all these other expenses that we just went over. And we know that some people are even resorting to buy now, pay later options now that this is offered pretty much at the checkout of every single store in America, or you can just do it on your phone and pay with your phone right at the checkout. But the problem is people who use buy now, pay later for recurring expenses like groceries, for example, that can cause multiple overlapping payments and raise your risk of missing a payment and ultimately getting hit with the late fees that you can get if you don't pay on time. And buy now, pay later programs are now being reported to the credit bureaus, putting you at risk for your credit score going down, especially if you miss a payment. But it can also contribute to the overall amount of debt load that you're carrying, which increases your debt to income ratio, which makes it harder to get a good interest rate on a loan in the future. About 70% of Americans right now say that financial uncertainty has caused them anxiety, and younger Americans are reporting even higher percentages. And people are saying that it's having an impact on their sleep, it's having an impact on their marriage, and even on their job performance. It's pretty much affecting every important aspect of their life, which makes sense. If you don't know how you're going to pay the bills and how you're going to come up with the money to pay for your living expenses, of course, people are going to be stressed out and anxious over it. And then people who are honest and try to work hard and work their way out of the situation end up taking on multiple gigs and multiple jobs. And that adds even more physical and mental stress to their plate, leading people to burnout. People are done. And that burnout can have some serious negative impacts on your relationships with the people around you. And that's why ultimately the smartest people right now are banding together. You have friends that are buying houses together. You have multi-generational families that are living together again. You're seeing an uptick in those things because when times get tough, if people can band together, that's going to be your easiest way out of the situation and feel more secure. But if you're somebody that is worried about your food costs, you really need to start tracking how much money you're spending on groceries each month, because it's probably more than you think. Look at the average I just showed you guys. It's almost $900 a month for the average American household. And you need to kind of narrow down what you need and what you don't. Separate the wants from the needs when it comes to food, which can also lead you to eating a much healthier diet, by the way, if you really just look at the food that you should be eating versus the food that you really shouldn't be eating and eliminating all that stuff. But you can also shop at cheaper grocery stores. Like, for example, in Miami, where I live, we have Publix, we have Trader Joe's, we have Aldi, we have Whole Foods, we have Fresh Market. Those are the ones that come to my mind right off the top of my head, okay? But here's the thing. Whole Foods and Fresh Market are exorbitantly expensive, and so is Publix too now, by the way. So where do my wife and I buy the bulk of our groceries? Trader Joe's. In fact, I just met one of my subscribers, I think his name was Chris, at Trader Joe's right here in Corte Madera the other day. So he can back me up and let you know that I shop there. And it's not the cheapest grocery store. It's not quite as cheap as Aldi, but the Aldi in Miami is far away and there's no Aldi around here in Marin. But you can shop at more stores like that. You can shop at Trader Joe's, you can shop at Aldi, you can shop at Costco or Sam's Club, and also buy a lot of generic brands or store brands in order to help cut down on costs. And one of the biggest ways that people can reduce their food costs is to just eat more at home and cook more at home. You could save 50% on your monthly food budget just by eating at home exclusively for a while and not eating out. So if you're spending $900 a month, you might be able to knock that down to $500 or $600 a month realistically, because of course you're going to have to buy more food since you're eating at home. But say you've already done all that stuff, then your last resort is you're going to have to apply for SNAP benefits, which is also formerly known as food stamps. Or you can try visiting your local food bank and getting a handout from them. But I think that should be the last resort, not only because those things come from donations and taxpayer money, but also because people need to learn how to survive on their own. Like if there's really no other way, then it's acceptable, right? But if you're doing it because you're lazy or you just don't want to figure out how to make it work for your family, then it's not so good. Now all of a sudden you're a burden on society, and taking that away from people who truly do need it, like people who are disabled or elderly and physically cannot actually work anymore.